I've got another tattoo shop to build. Yes, another. I have built one before. Little MandicReally backstory for you. Back in Philadelphia, I helped my best friend build out Houndstooth Tattoo. Both levels of it, I basically contracted, project managed, and did a lot of the rough design and build on. It's also where I met my lovely partner, the Ruby Gore, and now that we've moved to Portland, Oregon, she is opening her own shop, Black Thorne Tattoo, in East Portland. We just signed the lease, got the keys, and have started to build out the space, but here's what it looks like before. Here we are, Portland, Oregon, at Black Thorne Tattoo, the before times, because there's nothing in here right now aside from myself, our children, and Ruby. What do you think, Nori? Are you proud of Mom getting her tattoo studio? And there's not much to it right now, but like, still. Yeah? Yeah. We are beginning the build out process. I think I probably already entered this video at this point, so we're probably gonna have a whole series of videos based around Black Thorne Tattoo and building out the studio, including some of the fun big 3D print projects we have planned and the tech side of things. There's a lot going on in that space that I'm gonna share with you folks. For right now, this is kind of just your introduction to the project, and I need to remix and 3D print a tool component so I can get over there and get to work and make some progress. I'm gonna switch to voiceover right now because I've got to get moving, and I just finished shoveling our driveway for the probably first and only snowstorm we're gonna have this year, I hope, and let's get to it. Before we dive into the design work and the 3D printing of this project, there's another bit of design I want to take a moment to discuss. That's having a good logo for your business. Now, Ruby has this on lock with Black Thorne Tattoo. She went to graphic design school. She is a professional artist. She can handle that. When it comes to my business, I don't have those skills in my background. And that is where this video's sponsor, Skillshare, comes in. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, with thousands of classes on topics like design, productivity, and even business branding. Whether you're a complete beginner or leveling up your skills, there's something for everyone. Since I want to step up my logo game, I took Logo Design, How to Create a Unique and Memorable Wordmark by Khadija El-Sharawi. This class walks through how to design a wordmark that stands out, something that's pretty important when launching a new business. That's just one of many classes if you're into 3D design, video editing, or even home organization, because my studio desperately needs that right now. Skillshare has classes to help you improve your craft. The first 500 folks who follow my link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. If you've been looking to step up your skill set, I highly recommend checking it out. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into the design process so we can get these parts printed and this project rolling forward. What I need is an adapter for my shop vac to attach to my Milwaukee router. I've designed this previously, but it was really thin little temporary part and it was too weak. It broke and I need to remix it to make it hold up. The one that I designed for my random orbital sander has held up really well. It's thicker, it's just a better design, and it's survived numerous drops where the one for my router simply didn't. With the knowledge that the adapter for my sander was working well, I could jump into Fusion, pull in the old router adapter and the one from the sander, compare the two, and then remix the router one to more closely match the one for the sander. Since obviously that one's working, I can take ideas from that. With our part remixed, it's time to get it printing. To do that, I'm going to throw it on the Prusa Core 1. I just got this machine in. I want to run as many test prints on it as I can, so this is a great use case for it. I'm going to be using Prusa ASA and slicing the design. It should take less than 1 hour to print. But I am very short on time because Black Thorne Tattoo, we're paying on the lease, but we're not running a business in there yet, so it's costing us money. So time is literally money. I need to get over there and get to work on getting this place up and running. So I'm going to take the Prusa Core 1 with me. This printer is quick and it's going to get the job done quickly, and with its enclosure it should be able to print ASA in this relatively cool environment pretty easily. I'm just aiming to get this print running while I'm doing other tasks in the studio, and I can have the part ready to go when I need it. I mean, this is an active job site, why not bring another tool to the job? the print quality on the final part turned out excellent. I don't see any glaring issues to point out, so it's time to get it in use, installing it onto my Milwaukee router. Now, the whole point of this, I needed my router so I could work on this framed wooden structure behind me. This is the office. Clearly, things have progressed quite a bit since the intro of this video. That was actually a month ago, and I have been working non-stop, pulling all-nighters numerous nights, getting the space to this level. That's pretty beside the point, and I'll catch you up on things as we progress in future videos in this space. For right now, you just need to know that this office is going to be enclosed with acrylic panels that are frosted, so light will get in, but you really won't be able to see in or out of the office. It'll be a private space. That said, I want it to look premium, and radius dimensional lumber doesn't look premium to me in any way, shape, or form. But we're on a budget, so this is what we had to work with. I'm using the router to put a chamfered edge on all of these openings and all of these edges to give it a sharper and more intentional look, more metal-like. We just can't afford metal. But for right now, the router allowed me to get the details onto here that I wanted. That 3D printed adapter allowed me to not have dust flying everywhere while I was doing so. My dad was here helping from North Carolina work on this, so I didn't have time to film the office to this point, but let me know in the comments if you want to see a full video as that comes together and the final result of it. For right now, I need to turn my attention to the ceiling and gussying up the lights that are up there. The lights that we have hanging up in Black Thorne are these basic pendant lights we got off Amazon, nothing special, with some Edison LED bulbs from GE in them. The package came with 6, we only used 4, so I'm gonna use one of the leftover ones to measure for my design of a lampshade that I'm gonna put on those. I need to measure the outer diameter of the body of this, as well as the nuts that are gonna go on either side of the lampshade to secure it on. Those measurements will give me the size that I have to work with, so I can jump into Fusion and create a sketch. All I'm gonna do is create one little slice of this entire shade design. Once I have my sketch complete, I can use the revolve tool, set it off the center axes, and it'll just create my lampshade. The width of the outer edge of the shade needs to be just 1 millimeter thick. I'm gonna use a single extrusion width all the way around this with a 0.8 millimeter nozzle. Not going vase mode with this print. It is going to be printed layer by layer, but I want it to be as thin as I can get it so that light can travel through the shade. Looking at my part, the area I have the most concern about is where the arc meets the area that's gonna mount to the light, the boss at the top of this. That's absolutely gonna be the most overhang, and it's gonna have more layers, a lot more going on up there. So one thing that I can do to ensure the overall print is gonna work is, rather than print the hour-and-a-half, 2-hour print that I'm going to do, I can slice that section of the model out of it so I can print just that part. This will print in 24 minutes, so I can quickly tune in my settings for that area, the area I know is going to be the most problem, and then work my way back to the full print. As I said, I want light to travel through this. The best semi-transparent color that I have, it's not going to create a color cast. I've got like a beautiful purple from Greengate 3D. The best next option I have is this glow in the dark ABS from Inland, which is Micro Center's house brand of filament. That said, this stuff is going to be hard on nozzles. I'm not going to want to run this through a brass nozzle. Luckily, my friends at E3D sent over some of their Obsidian high flow nozzles for me that I can use in the next extruder on my Prusa XL, Mark IV, or the Core 1. With that nice wear-resistant nozzle thrown in here, I can pull off the old filament and get this ABS loaded up. Then I can send my part to print. When the print's done, popping it off the bed, I can take a look at it, and honestly, it looks pretty solid. There's a little bit of rippling on the inside edge where the harshest overhang was. I'm gonna chalk that up to maybe a little bit of incorrect temperature. I didn't tune this material in at all. I just threw Prusa ABS print settings at it. I didn't actually dial it in. But now that I have this printed part, I can also check the fit to my light adapter. And I was worried about that. It doesn't fit onto this light socket. Not nicely anyway, it's a really tight fit. I only gave myself 0.2 millimeters of tolerance between the outer diameter of the socket and this print. I can take a pair of calipers and measure the inner diameter is what I'm going to go off of because that's the thing I need to fit over that light socket, checking for shrinkage. I think that's probably my problem here. I could have added a little more tolerance to this. Yes, that would have been good. This right now is measuring at 39.4 millimeters inside diameter. It should be 40 millimeters. I could plug that into a calculation and check it out real quick. It looks like I'm somewhere around 1.5% shrinkage on this material, which I can put into the slicer and compensate for. So I'm gonna do that and then run another test print. A quick reprint later and I can pop the part off the bed. The new part looks pretty much the same. I dialed down temperature a little bit. I still have a tiny bit of the rippling, but overall I'm fine with the print quality that I'm getting here. I don't feel like spending a bunch of time tuning this filament, even though I really should. But the real question is, will this new part with shrinkage compensation fit onto the light socket? Yes, it will. If anything, I got maybe just a hair more tolerance than I was looking to have. But honestly, I'm not going to complain about that. I'd rather it just a hair loose than too tight. I can also then put on the other nut, tighten it on here, and test to ensure that my fit's going to be good. So I'm ready to print the full part. And it is just how I expected it to fit. Now you can see how printing this small section of my full print saved a bunch of time. It got the hard tuning of this print out of the way, and now I'm ready to print the full thing without having to wasted a bunch of filament and get a part that wasn't going to work in the end. Now I just got to send the Core 1 to printing, 4 of those. I set forth to printing and promptly had some failures. So the area that I tested is working well, but I'm running into serious issues with this filament. It looks like I'm under extruding pretty badly on this, but I wasn't pushing the speed or the volumetric flow rate that hard. I ran a racetrack test to see if I was somehow overrunning the nozzle, and with the 0.6 nozzle, this ABS glow in the dark from Inland, on the Core 1, I was pushing 30 millimeters cubed per second. So my print was absolutely not overrunning the nozzle. I think I had it set at like 24 to be safe. After tweaking and tuning, messing around with settings, I finally got a print off of it that is better. What I ended up doing was switching back and forth on slicer settings, and I think I landed on part cooling being my issue. I was running upwards of 35–40% fan on this print, and this one that turned out a lot better, but still not great, I was running more like 30%. So I've dialed it all the way down to 25% maximum fan speed and a minimum of 5%. This just doesn't like part cooling. I know that the conventional wisdom is no part cooling fan for ABS, but I find that to be complete nonsense. And in fact, this actually proves that out. There's a section on this print that's bulged and nasty. That's where the part cooling fan was off. So I actually had to really dial in the settings on this so that part cooling was continuously working throughout the entire print at a low level and only ramped up as it got to shorter and shorter layer times where the circle got smaller toward the top. Then I was able to run off print after print after print of pretty solid results. I'm pretty happy with what I got out of this at this point. Seam could be a little bit better, but I don't really have time to dial this in just how I want. And again, you're not really gonna see it hanging on the ceiling. So it's time to head over to Black Thorne Tattoo and get these up on the ceiling. A little easy up and down the ladder later, and we have lights. Let there be light. I have to flip the switch. Hey, there we go. Fun fact for you, I actually dropped all 4 of these lampshades this morning in our kitchen before I headed over here, and all 4 of them broke. So I ended up having to 3D gloop them back together before I came over to the studio. It's a really good thing they're that high up on the ceiling and you're not gonna see them up close. There's honestly not quite enough light in here with just these 4 lights. This is something we're gonna need to address over time, but for right now, they at least look a little bit more cleaned up. That said, the cords you see dangling, the extra length of them, I am going to cut those shorter as I did on this one light already. I just didn't have time when I put them up there last week to cut each and every one down. That will be happening very soon, so they'll look a lot cleaner. But as of right now, thanks to 3D printing, we've got lampshades on those lights. I had dust extraction on my router so I could work on this office, and this space is starting to come together. There's a lot more to be done, such as this entire wall behind me here is going to be floor to ceiling covered in 3D printed pieces. I don't want to give away too much about what that's going to be, but I'm really excited about that project. Then of course there's the office. I've already mentioned that I might cover finishing out this entire structure, but there's also the networking, Wi-Fi, and security camera setup we're going to be putting in here to protect and connect this space. Then there's this outlet and connection on the wall here that there's going to be a TV mounted here, and I have some ideas about how we can integrate some artistic license with that in this space. And there's going to be a bunch more sculptures and things we're going to be adding to this, all of which you folks are going to be seeing. This is just the beginning of Black Thorne Tattoo. By the way, quick question, do I look like the most hipster Bond villain with my little dog and my bald head and my Go Vegan t-shirt? So thanks for hanging out with me for this video. I hope you'll stick around for the rest of the ride, building out Black Thorne Tattoo and the fun 3D printing maker adventures we're gonna have with this space. If you found this video interesting, maybe you'll find this one of working on my studio space interesting as well, or this one that YouTube thinks is best for you. Thanks for coming around, folks. Get subscribed to ensure your 3D prints don't fail. It's not a guarantee, but it can't hurt. See ya, folks.